Everyone wants transformation, but few are willing to face the chaos that comes with it. Kali is not a goddess for the faint of heart. Her presence shatters illusions, strips away masks, and forces growth. Her raw energy is terrifying, yet it's also liberating. If you've ever felt like something in your life needed to change, but didn't know how or were too afraid to take the next step, it might be because you haven't yet experienced Kali's true power. Kali doesn't ask for permission. She rips away the veil of illusion and reveals the raw, unfiltered truth of existence. Just like Krishna revealed his universal form in the Bhagavad Gita, leaving Arjuna overwhelmed by the vastness of the cosmos, Kali exposes reality with no sugarcoating. There's no room for comfortable fantasies. Life is wild, unpredictable, and resisting this truth only prolongs suffering. But accepting it, that brings a level of freedom like nothing else. Imagine someone who has spent their entire life running from change, only to be forced into it. Kali doesn't wait for that moment. She rips off the band-aid all at once. Kali's impact is anything but subtle. When she arrives, there's no ignoring her. It's like the sheer force of a hurricane, wiping out anything fragile or built on lies. People who live by appearances, clinging to outdated labels and beliefs, experience Kali as a shock to the system, like an electric current jolting them awake. She doesn't destroy out of cruelty, but because what isn't real must fall. It's like a sculptor chiseling away at marble to reveal the masterpiece hidden within the stone. And here's the dilemma. Do you resist or surrender? If you fight her, you'll suffer. If you embrace her, you'll grow. That's what makes Kali so powerful. She doesn't just destroy, she transforms. When the masks fall and raw truth takes over, what's left is your authentic self, free from the chains of the past. But the real question is, are you ready for that? Or do you still prefer the false security of a life without confrontation? Kali appears when chaos threatens to consume everything. In the epic battle against Raktabija, every drop of his blood that hit the ground created more demons, making victory impossible. So, Kali made a brutal yet decisive choice. She drank the blood before it could touch the earth, breaking the cycle of destruction. This isn't just a myth, it's a deep metaphor for life. How often do we fuel our own problems instead of cutting them off at the root? We get stuck in destructive cycles, repeating the same mistakes, creating new obstacles without realizing it. Balance doesn't always come gently. Sometimes it demands radical action. Think about a toxic relationship where every argument only breeds more resentment, just like the demon's blood. If we keep feeding it, the problem only grows. But if we have the courage to channel Kali's energy and cut off the source of the imbalance, whether through an honest conversation, a breakup, or a drastic change, we create space for something new. This energy of conscious destruction isn't violence. It's a force of renewal. Many fear Kali because they misunderstand her role. She is not just destruction, she is restoration. Like a wildfire that purifies a forest, burning away the old so new seeds can sprout, Kali comes to eliminate what no longer serves you. But here's the real question. Are you willing to let go of your old beliefs, habits, and patterns so balance can be restored? Because if you're not, Kali's energy will feel like a storm instead of liberation. In Tantra, Kali is not just a force of destruction, she is the very energy of transformation. She is Kundalini, the dormant serpent at the base of the spine, waiting for the right moment to awaken. When this energy rises through the chakras and meets Shiva at the crown, the individual reaches enlightenment. But this journey is neither linear nor comfortable. Imagine someone who has spent their entire life trapped in limiting beliefs. When Kundalini awakens, everything that no longer serves them is stripped away. That's why many fear this force. Transformation doesn't ask for permission. It demands surrender. Kali's energy doesn't arrive gently. It's like a lightning bolt cutting through the darkness, revealing truths that were once hidden. For those who accept her, this force is liberating. But for those who resist, she manifests as chaos. That's why practices like meditation and pranayama are essential to prepare the body and mind. A simple example, taking a deep, mindful breath before making a big decision, can be the first step toward awakening this inner force. Small daily actions like quieting the mind before sleep help create a channel for this transformation. But here's the challenge: Kundalini cannot be forced. Those who try to accelerate the process without preparation may find themselves consumed by their own fire. It requires patience, discipline, and courage. Because at the end of the day, this energy isn't about mystical powers or supernatural experiences. It's about becoming the highest version of yourself. And the real question is, are you ready to allow this transformation, or will you stay asleep? Dakshina Kali is the goddess's protective side, the compassionate mother who guides her devotees with love. She is worshipped by those seeking protection, courage, and clarity in difficult times. Imagine someone facing a major challenge, a career change, an uncertain relationship, or a life-altering decision. Praying to Dakshina Kali is not about asking for an easy path, but for the strength to walk through any storm. Her love does not manifest as excessive comfort, but as the ability to face life without fear. Shamshan Kali rules the cremation grounds, where life and death meet. She is the raw force of destruction, the one who allows no illusion. Her presence in places where bodies are burned symbolizes radical acceptance of impermanence. Those who connect with Shamshan Kali are ready to let go of the ego and everything that is not essential. People who have faced deep loss or major transitions feel this energy the moment when everything crumbles, yet at the same time, a new clarity emerges. Mahakali doesn't just belong to Earth, she is time and space itself, guiding all spiritual evolution. Unlike other forms of Kali, she is not limited to individual actions. When Mahakali manifests, it means something much bigger is at play. Her role is to ensure the universe moves as it should, free from human ego's interference. For those who feel a deep calling toward something beyond everyday life, Mahakali represents transformation on its grandest scale. But the question is, which face of Kali is most present in your journey right now? Kali has no color. She is pure emptiness. Her black skin does not symbolize darkness in a negative sense, but rather the infinite, the same void from which everything emerges and to which everything returns. Like the space between the stars, she is the backdrop of creation. Meditating on this aspect of Kali reveals that true power doesn't lie in what we see, but in what we cannot. It's the same principle as silence. A master is not wise because of what they say, but because of the space between their words. Kali's outstretched tongue may seem unsettling at first, but it's pure defiance against illusion. She challenges norms and destroys falsehoods. When something unjust happens, what is the most natural reaction? Stay silent or speak out? Kali teaches us not to swallow what wounds us. Her tongue reminds us that truth must be expressed, whether it's breaking cycles of abuse, exposing lies, or simply saying what needs to be said. Each skull around Kali's neck represents a letter of the Sanskrit alphabet, the very language of creation. But it also carries a deeper meaning, the inevitability of death. Everything passes, everything dissolves, and in this realization, we find freedom. Those who cling to what is temporary suffer, while those who embrace change thrive. So, here's the real question. Are you living in fear of the end, or are you using that awareness to live more fully? Kali standing on Shiva's chest is not an act of violence, it's a representation of the balance between consciousness and energy. Shiva, the supreme principle of awareness, remains still while Kali, the dynamic force of life, dances upon him. Without energy, consciousness is static. Without consciousness, energy is chaotic. This reflects the essential balance of existence. The mind can be pure and still, but without action, nothing manifests. And action without clarity becomes destructive. This symbolism plays out in everyday life. Think of someone with brilliant ideas, but no action, as Shiva without Kali. Now picture someone full of energy, but lacking direction, a Kali without Shiva. Both need each other for something meaningful to happen. This is the secret behind every great achievement: conscious action. Knowledge alone isn't enough. You have to move with purpose. It's like an artist with a blank canvas without inspiration. There's no vision, but without brushstrokes, the vision never takes shape. The scene of Kali stepping on Shiva teaches us something even deeper. Energy can become so intense that even consciousness must step in. In the fury of her dance, Kali nearly destroys everything until she realizes Shiva is beneath her feet. This moment symbolizes the need for balance. It's easy to get lost in the intensity of life work, passions, challenges. But knowing when to stop and listen to consciousness is essential. The question is your energy aligned with your clarity, or are you moving without direction? The cremation ground is Kali's domain, the place where everything comes to an end. But paradoxically, it is also where true freedom begins. Facing death is not morbid. It is liberating. When we realize that everything we accumulate, possessions, status, titles, will eventually turn to ashes, we begin to understand what truly matters. Great spiritual masters often meditate in these places to detach from the ego and the illusions of life. After all, why waste energy on trivial concerns when everything is temporary? This symbolism challenges us to examine our own lives. How many things do we hold on to out of fear of losing them? Toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, limiting beliefs, all of these become unnecessary burdens. Kali's cremation ground is not just a physical place. It's a mental state, an invitation to let go of what no longer holds value. Just as fire consumes everything without discrimination, we must ask ourselves, what needs to burn in our lives so that something new can emerge? And here's a powerful detail. Kali does not shy away from the cycle of life and death. She rules over it. Her laughter echoes through the ashes because, to her, nothing truly dies, it only transforms. This realization changes everything. When we stop fearing the end, we begin to truly live. But the real question is, are you ready to face impermanence without fear, or are you still clinging to what will inevitably fade away? Kali's loose hair is a symbol of absolute freedom. It is unbound, unrestricted, untamed. It represents raw feminine power and spiritual independence. In many cultures, loose hair symbolizes rebellion, a refusal to conform to imposed standards. Kali is not a goddess who seeks approval. She exists in her rawest form, unfiltered, needing no validation from anyone. This is a powerful reminder that true strength comes from embracing who you truly are, without fear of external judgment. This image especially challenges those who are still trying to fit into other people's expectations. How many times do we hold back our words, hide our opinions, or follow paths that aren't truly ours out of fear of disapproval? Kali teaches that freedom only comes to those who dare to be authentic. And authenticity doesn't have to be loud sometimes. The greatest act of rebellion is simply living in alignment with your truth. Like someone who walks away from a soul-crushing job to pursue a higher purpose. But freedom comes at a price. Occasional loneliness, resistance from the world, the need to face challenges without guarantees. However, those who dare to let their own hair down discover something incredible when they stop shrinking themselves to fit the world. The world adjusts to them. The real question is, are you still trying to fit in, or have you realized that your greatest power lies in being exactly who you are? Poets like Ramprasad Sen and Kamalakanta Bhattacharya captured Kali's dual nature, both fierce and maternal. Their words didn't just describe the goddess. They established an intimate relationship with her. Ramprasad, for instance, sang to Kali like a child calling for his mother, shifting between devotion and defiance. He didn't see her as a distant entity, but as a living presence in his life. This shows that a connection with Kali doesn't have to be just reverence. It can be a dialogue, a challenge, a surrender. This poetic tradition teaches us that Kali is not just a concept or a sacred image, but a personal experience. For those who invoke her, she appears in the form they need. To some, she is the protector who gives strength in difficult times. To others, she is the destroyer of illusions, preventing stagnation. The relationship with Kali doesn't follow fixed rules. Each person encounters her in their own way. And poetry is one of the most powerful ways to express this connection, because words have the power to summon what lies beyond the intellect. Reading these poems is not just a literary exercise, it's a dive into the mystical experience. If Ramprasad and Kamalakanta spoke to Kali through verses, what's stopping you from creating your own connection? Whether through writing, music, or even silence, Kali answers those who call on her with sincerity. But the real question is, are you ready to call her and face what she has to reveal? To Ramakrishna, Kali was the very embodiment of motherly love. He saw her as the force that nurtures, protects, and guides her devotees. But unlike a mother who only comforts, Kali also teaches with severity. Her kindness is not about making life easy, but about giving the courage needed to grow. Ramakrishna demonstrated this devotion through absolute surrender, like a child who blindly trusts their mother. This view of Kali shows that there is no need to fear her, just trust that everything she does, even destruction, is for the greater good. For non-dualists, Kali is not a separate entity, but the ultimate reality itself, Brahman. Adi Shankaracharya saw everything as one unified consciousness, with no division between the divine and the mundane. In this sense, Kali is not just a goddess, she is the very manifestation of the ever-changing universe. This shifts the perspective completely. Instead of seeing her as an external force, we realize this energy exists within us. Chaos, destruction, and renewal are all part of our own being. Accepting this is awakening to the true nature of existence. Vivekananda combined these two approaches, recognizing Kali as both immanent and transcendent. To him, it was possible to honor her as the Divine Mother, while also understanding that she is the very essence of the cosmos. This balance between devotion and philosophical insight allows anyone to connect with Kali on a personal level. You can see her as a spiritual guide or as the very flow of existence itself. But the real question is, which of these perspectives resonates more with you? Worshipping Kali is not a path for the weak. Her energy is raw, intense, and overwhelming. She doesn't just comfort, she destroys everything that no longer serves you. When someone approaches her, they must be ready to lose their illusions, shed outdated identities, and face uncomfortable truths. It's not a gentle process, but it's necessary. Just as a storm clears everything away to make room for the new, Kali comes to tear down whatever holds us back. And not everyone is ready for that. Many seek Kali for protection and strength, but they forget that her greatest gift is transformation. Imagine someone who wants to change their life, but is afraid to let go of what no longer works: a purposeless job, a suffocating relationship, a limiting mindset. Kali doesn't give you a choice. She rips away the veil, forces confrontation, and demands action. Those who surrender to her with humility receive a rare gift, the freedom to be their true selves, without masks. But this transformation requires something essential: courage. You can't just invoke Kali and wait for miracles. You must be willing to walk through the chaos, face the fire, and accept whatever comes. Her energy is like a sword; it can destroy or liberate, depending on who wields it. And the final question is, are you ready to let Kali destroy what needs to be left behind? Or are you still clinging to what should have been gone long ago? Kali does not bring comfort, she brings truth. Those who accept her find freedom. Those who resist feel the weight of their own illusions. So, what in your life needs to be destroyed for something new to be born? Are you ready to let go of what no longer serves you? If so, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and continue this journey of transformation.